Half Shell Oyster House offers happy hour at the bar and throughout the restaurant every day from 3 to 6 p.m. Happy hour includes $2 off all glasses of wine, liquor, martinis, mixed drinks, and draft beer, $2.50 on all domestic bottled beer, and $3.50 on all craft bottled beer. So come on out to Half Shell Oyster House, located at 115 Lower Park Cove, Suite 105, Flowood, Mississippi 39232, or you can give them a call at 769-257-7586. And hey, tell them Sonia sent you.
She say sports. She say sports. She say sports. She say sports.
Hey, y'all, it's your girl Sonia, and welcome back to She Say Sports. The month of March is Women's History Month, and we will highlight some amazing women doing amazing things in their community. Today, I have with me Assistant Superintendent of Elementary Schools with Jackson Public Schools in Jackson, Mississippi, Dionne Jones Woody. Hi, Dionne. How are you today?
I am great, Sonia. How are you today?
I am doing well. Have you recovered? Have you recovered from cluster?
I'm about there. I'm back there. So I am so happy to say that I am about there. It was a tiring weekend, but it's all about public service. And,
that's right.
So that's what we do as Deltas, but I have recovered.
I recovered too. I had a good time. But before we get started, Dionne, some people may not know this. Some of my listeners may not know this, but you were born a triplet.
Yes.
So there's Dionne, DeWanda, and Denise.
That's correct.
Who's the oldest? You told me this before, but I forgot.
Denise
is how many minutes?
Denise is the oldest, and I'm the youngest. So that means that we're 2 minutes apart. And that means she and DeWanda are 1 minute apart. So we're 1 minute apart from each other. So Denise, like I said, and I are 2 minutes apart because she's the oldest and I'm the youngest. So
hilarious. Does she try to boss y'all around?
Actually, no, DeWanda tries to boss us around.
She's the boss.
She has that middle girl syndrome.
Yeah.
So she tries to boss everybody around, but we all hold our ground, and everybody, is respectful of everybody, and we just all listen to each other. So
I love it. Y'all have look like y'all have a great relationship.
We do. I want to trade them some sisters for the world. You get one, you get everybody. So
that's right. That's right. Something else that people may not know, that you and your sisters were actually on the Ricky Lake show. Tell us about that experience for all three of you, as well as your parents. And what were y'all on there for?
We were on there for the sexiest triplets in America. There's not a lot of Black triplets that are all female. Either two, the different siblings of it may be two brothers and a sister, or it may be a girl and two boys, or a boy and two sisters, or something like that. It actually was a actual good show. Actually, we were contacted through Jackson State. At the time, I was still living here in grad school. Denise and DeWanda moved away with their careers. So that's how we were contacted. And we were contacted like on a Tuesday. We flew out like on a Thursday to New York and got back on a Sunday. And my mom accompanied us with going to New York. So it was great. Actually, they just wanted to talk about multiple births. All of us, pretty much everything that we do, you see one, you see all. Right. Even though Denise and DeWanda both live in Birmingham now, and I'm here in Jackson, but we see each other quite often. That they say multiple births are kind of stuck at the hip. Well, that's how we are. We kind of stuck at the hip. Even though we're 50 years old, now never had any abnormalities or anything, thank God, knock on wood. Our health has always been great. So that's been a blessing. Like I said, never had any issues with anything as it is related to health and multiple births. So to answer the question, like I said, that's how we got on there. And that was just asking, how do we keep our weight down? How do we eat? Do we exercise, to keep the shape that we have and things like that. So that's what we were on there for. So Like again, so that's
Awesome.
1998, so that's almost what, 25 years ago or
Almost
26 years
25,
ago.
yeah.
But it was a good experience. You know, we was kind of like the rich and the famous,
I know.
treated with royalty. So it was great. It was great.
That's awesome. That is, yeah, that's a flashback for you. So, Dionne, let's go ahead and get started while you're here. You've been in education for 24 years. What was it about education that made you say, I want to do this for my career and I want to teach children?
Well, I have a long list of educators in my family. Of course, my mom and dad have been teachers in our hometown, which is Columbus, Mississippi, for we have kind of a combination of about, I would say 65, 70 years between the two of them. Then my mom retired and went over to Alabama to teach for 10 years after she finished in Mississippi. So she has about 40, 42, 43 years of experience of teaching.
Wow.
So that's all I've ever been around was teachers, even in my community, people in the community, all back then, all you knew was there were teachers, preachers, and doctors. And I know I didn't like blood or anything like that. So, you know, I always wanted to make a difference. You know, with two siblings, you know, we played school. My daddy made sure that we did work. He would bring those workbooks home because my dad was an elementary school teacher and my mom was a high school school teacher. So I saw both ends of the elementary and the secondary of that. So, you know, playing with your dolls, playing with your sisters, that kind of persuaded me. And then just watching the role models that I had in my life and in Columbus. And, you know, I knew it wasn't a lot of money, but I knew I like people and I'm just a people person. And I want to make a difference in students' lives. I tell people all the time, I wasn't an A student, but look at where I am today. It's about, you know, making sure that I believe in equity. You know, what do people and children need to be successful in life? And, you know, of course, you have to have a good education.
That's true.
You know, or some sort of trade. So my biggest thing is, and I always tell people, everybody comes to a teacher. You got your basketball players, you got your coaches, you got your doctors, you got your lawyers, you got your CAOs, you got your CEOs. And I always just would see how people would come back to teachers in the community and say, you made a difference in my life. So that's the thing I want to do is make a difference in the lives of children. And I've been doing that, like I said, for 24 plus years, not in Mississippi, but also in Atlanta. I moved to Atlanta and stayed in Atlanta about 3 or 4 years. And I moved to Montgomery, stayed there about 3 or 4 years. But my biggest part, I've been back in Jackson for the last 18 years. My first start was here in Jackson, about 2 years. Then you know how when you're young, you want to go explore, you want to move to Atlanta, you want to move, you know, all these places and just explore life. And so being back here in Jackson, you know, this is just kind of like home, you know, it is my second home. This is all I know, you know, is Jackson. So I just want to you know, continue to make a difference in the lives of children and being able to provide what, you know, students need in order to be successful. You know, we focus a lot on students that are the A students, but I want to focus on those students that I can make a difference in to say, okay, you know, this student may have started here, but look how much this child has progressed, you know, on up to that. You know, I even have students now that, you know, come back and say, and I be seeing them in the stores and stuff, and they be like, you know, you taught me, or you was my principal, or this and that and that and this. And I be like, huh? But baby, tell me your name, you know, and they can tell me whole stories about. So that really makes my heart feel good, make my heart feel warm, that I'm able to make a difference in student lives.
And you know, Dionne, you've made a very valid point. Just last night, it's 2 teachers that made an amazing difference in my life at Blackburn Junior High School, Miss Betty Snuggs and Miss Charlotte Oglesby. And I love them so much. And they've been on my mind lately. And I looked on Facebook and found their pages, and I sent a message, and I don't know if they ever see it, but I told them, they know how I felt about them, but I'm like, you truly made such an impact in my life, and I love y'all so much. And they're best friends. When I say I love them, they were amazing. And I had some more amazing, Miss Hatcher, Dorothy Hatcher, you know, she was an amazing teacher, and I had several others, but I need to let them know. They've been on my mind. I needed to, so you're right, you guys, everybody has to go through a teacher. everybody, even some, well, all presidents, but yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that. So,
Okay.
Dionne, you, as I mentioned earlier, you are now the assistant superintendent for elementary schools with JPS, and there are 16 elementary schools under your supervision, of which 94% are designated as successful by the Mississippi Department of Education. And you just mentioned how you're not committed to just the A students, but the other students that you want to do well. When you took on this position, do you remember what the percentage of the 16 schools success rate at that time? And what was your goal to get it to where it is now?
So actually, my mind serves me right. It was about, I would say about 50% of
Wow.
schools that were at a success rate when I took over about 4 years ago.
Okay.
And my goal is to make sure what I want for my children and my boys is the same thing I want for the students that I serve, the students that we serve. So I tell people all the time, take a look in the mirror at yourself and ask yourself the question, would you want your own child, your sister, your brother, your niece, or your nephew, or whoever it may be, your loved one in your own classroom? And if you can't honestly say that, that's a problem to me.
That's a problem.
So therefore, I think that changed the mindset of people to make them really, that in academics is important, instruction is important. Getting in here, you just can't shoot from the hip, with teaching. Of course, we have, our different curriculums that we have and the different curriculums that we use. You got to be able to go and study that and actually be able to transpose that where students can understand, where students can learn. It's not like when it was when we were in school, years ago. It's the rigor of the work is very, very, very high acceleration. So it really, really makes a difference. But the principles that I have a wonderful crop of principles. I have 16 principles. I wouldn't trade them for the world. They know the expectation is a we approach. And my motto is, if I shine, you shine, you shine, I shine.
That's
so
right.
we have that, and we take on that growth mindset in a spirit of excellence to make sure that we are, educating our kids and giving them the best that they have.
Right.
Don't take excuses of this child doesn't have a pencil, or this child didn't come to school prepared, or this child didn't do this. Well, as a teacher and as an educator and as a leader, you have to be the doctor, the lawyer, the counselor, the dietitian, the nurse, whatever, the psychologist, the psychometrist, or anything that you name in order for children, because children really depend on us. So you got to have that all in one. It's not just about, okay, I'm gonna open the doors at 7:30. You come on in and you sit down and be quiet. It doesn't work like that. So you got to have that heart and that mindset and the love for kids. So that's one of the things that I work closely with my principals to make sure that we can understand the child first. Your kid, it's not a one size fit all. It's where you have to do, like I said, the biggest word is equity for me. Not equality, but equity. You can still do equality, but I want to make sure that we're doing equity too as well. To giving you what you need, because the same thing that Dionne need may not be the same thing that Sonia needs.
That's right.
So those type of things. I may need an extra person to come in and tutor me. You may not need it because you're the A student. I may need it. So I want to make sure with my principals that we're giving and we're teaching the curriculum, we're giving everybody what they need in order to be successful. And also making sure, now we have ILPs, which are individualized plans for every student. That goes with the equity piece. And that's where every child, when they take a test or whatever they're doing, they get, when it comes, their scores come out, they get an individualized plan that comes back with that and saying what that child may have mastered and what they did not master. And following that plan in order for students to be successful. So I think with that and having everybody on the right bus and in the right seat for students, for schools, and just knowing that, we can do, and I tell people all the time, no matter where you located, no matter what's your zip code, wherever you are, every child was born with a brain, and it's up to us to make sure that we're teaching our students successfully. So
I love it. That is awesome. I did not know. That's great that they have that that I don't know if it's an app or whatever that they have that to show what they need help with, because sometimes, I know as I was not good at math at all.
Mhm.
And it was just hard for me. After multiplications, I zoned out. I could not get fractions. I still have to Google sometimes for fractions, and I'm not ashamed to say it. It was just
Right,
my thing.
right.
History, I love history. I love science, stuff like that. But math was not my thing. So that's good that they have that. So Dionne, did you use some of the methods you used to get Bradley School from low performing to successful in the 4 years you served as their leader?
I did. Actually, like I said, just make sure we have parent buy-in. That I said that goes back to what I said about no matter where your address is, no matter where you're located in the city, we got the parent buy-in, and as well as with the staff buy-in and teachers buy-in. So I did use some of the same techniques and strategies that I use, best practices, to make sure that our students are getting what they need. And one of the things that I tell people all the time is they ask me how, it's not about I or me, it's about we. So I have that we approach, that takes everybody. It's not just the principal, or it's not just the teacher, it's not just the superintendent, it takes everybody,
Right.
Everybody to be on board to make sure students have what they need in order to be successful. So to say that, I was assistant principal at Johnson, and I left there and went to Bradley as a principal, and then left Bradley as principal to go to Key as principal, and then came to central office as the assistant superintendent. So yes, some of most of the same things that I do when it comes to education, and some of the, like I said, best strategies I did use, that I'm using today currently. And then, also, I'm always open to professional development and training, because we know that things change.
Right. That's true.
Quickly. Technology is big now, opposed to when I started 24 years, it was always about paper and pencil.
Right.
So thing that we do now is basically on the computer. It's not more so of paper and pencil, but it's more so of the computer based. Even our pre-K students, they take tests and assessments on actual devices, iPads, laptops,
Really?
desktop computers. We very seldom have a actual paper pencil type assessment. Our state tests are actually computer-based, technology-based.
That's amazing. I taught for a while in Dallas, but back then, that was 06, 07, and they were still using paper, but that's interesting. Kindergartens and first graders, wow, that's amazing.
Yep.
Now, speaking of Key, you've been a rock star since you've been an educator. First of all, let's say that.
Thank you.
You were the first Black principal at Key Elementary in Jackson, Mississippi. So first, and what's so weird, we're still saying the first in 2023 for things to happen for Black people. However, what year was that when that happened for you?
2012.
So 11 years ago.
11 years ago.
11 years ago. How was that for you? How did it feel to be the first? What did that mean for you?
Well, it felt good to be, the first. I think it was a time, the timing was great. It felt like, okay, I've made some history. Why me? Chosen to go to a school. At the time, it was time, and it was changing. Of course, the school is located in South Jackson, so community was changing. The people were changing. People were moving out. There and moving to other areas, and people were moving in. So those type things. And just being the first one, I didn't even realize that I was the first one until somebody mentioned it to me. I know I had taken Caucasians, who was replaced with the Caucasian, but I didn't even realize that until somebody mentioned it to me, and I was like, "Oh, for real?" I think I was at a meeting or something, and somebody, was like, oh, for real. So, I mean, it felt good, but I try not to look at, I guess I would say color, just whoever's in the
Right.
big seat, at that time. So, the school thrived. When I took over the school was an F-rated school. And so within 2 years, the school moved to a B-rated school. And
Wow.
it has sustained an A-rated school over the last, I would say, 7-8 years, even with the current principal that's there now, that's doing an outstanding, remarkable,
That's awesome.
exceptional job, there. So I am, just even elated that that things are in place, for the school to continue to thrive. And she's doing, like I said, a magnificent job.
Is that one of the schools that's under your leadership?
It is. It
Did
is.
you handpick her?
You can't ask me that.
Hey, ma'am. I just asked the question.
She interviewed and she did a wonderful, outstanding job. And she's holding her own.
I love it.
School. Yep. So she's
So diplomatic. I love
it.
And Dionne, in 2016, Rockstar and again, you were named Jackson Public Schools Administrator of the Year. Such an honor to be recognized in this way. What did this recognition mean to you? Because think about at 2016, you were already the first Black principal, I almost said president, principal at Key. You made some amazing, huge steps getting Bradley on track. So at this point now, you're 2016 Administrator of the Year. What did that mean for you?
I was really overwhelmed. I walked in because I was called down to central office because they told
me. I remember that.
They told me, my boss at the time told me that, because I'm very strong when it comes to, and I stand my ground when it comes to being an advocate for children. And they told me that it was a parent that was very upset about something that happened in the community and wanted me to handle it. And they needed me to come down because I need to be running the school and not taking care of the parents. Well, not like that, but
right.
Just,
trying to get you up.
Was upset. Yeah. And so I got down here and I sat down and talked to the secretary in the office of the elementary office, waiting on my boss to come. And she kept saying, he's in a meeting. So, of course you're not going to leave if your boss is telling you, you got a meeting at 8:00. And, my man, I'm like, okay, it's 8:00. They probably running a little late, traffic or whatever. And then 9:00 came. Then they said,
8 p.m. 8 p.m.
8 a.m.
Okay.
And so they said, he said, now he at the school, come on, go to the school. So when I got to the school, I saw some cars that were unfamiliar cars, and the parking lot was kind of filled. And so I walked in, I said, where is she? Where's the parent? They said, she's down the hall. So I walked in, they said, she's in the auditorium. So I pulled the door open, walked in the auditorium. When I walked in the auditorium, there was everybody, my sister, my niece, my mom, my dad, my children, everybody. And I was like, oh my God. And they just started yelling and screaming. You had all the executives, the superintendent, the executive cabinet, the assistant superintendent, everybody sitting on stage. And I was like, oh my God. And it said Administrator of the Year. So I was just excited and just proud. I was just overjoyed that, I'm not a type person where, my work speaks for itself. I'm not a type person where I got to have accolades. I don't have to compete with nobody to say I did this, I did that. All I want to do is just service children and service people and help people, because that's how I was raised. I was raised always to help people. And when you help people, your blessings come even more abundantly. So that was the thing that really just, like, golly, and I'm like, okay, well, this person has done this person has done this in the district, this person has done this. And I'm like, okay, how am I competing with these, with the other people? And so I was really overjoyed. But like I said, the awards once, and then that year, several awards started coming, just from around the city, from around the state, about the work that I had done. I said, you know what? These awards are not just Dionne Woody's. These awards are people that work with me, because I tell people all the time, it's just like an octopus. An octopus got a lot of legs on it, right? I'm just in the middle, holding everybody up. So I can't take all of the accolades, because there were people that helped me along the way. There were people that worked with me. There's still people that work with me that's been with me for some time, and they're still with me.
Right.
And saying to myself, it's not about I. It's a we type thing. You heard me say it earlier. So I was just overjoyed with, with the award. Just being that. And so when I would go places, people say, you're the administrator against us. And people still say that to this day. And I'd be like, oh, that was so long ago. I just want to just help kids. I appreciate it. I like to celebrate other people and do things elaborate and things of that nature. But even though I have a very aggressive type, I think, personality, but at the end of the day, I don't like all that. I don't like all that fame. I'd rather have it on somebody else.
And I understand it, but it was definitely needed because she truly loves to help people. When I say love to help people, and it's in your heart. It has to be a heart thing. A lot of people don't realize you can't teach just to say, oh, I got the summers off and all the holidays. No, it's way more than that. You got to love people, and especially just love those little bitty humans, because they truly need us. They need us so much. And Dionne, speaking of that, as we know, there are ups and downs being in education, and some things have changed quite a bit since we were children. I mean, it's just not the same anymore. A lot dealing with school. And what's so interesting, Ricky Smiley, he actually posed a question on his show this week. It was Monday, I believe. And he had a question for teachers. And I'm going to ask you this question, and you tell me your thoughts. To teachers, who's to blame for the guns in school, violent attacks, and blatant disrespect against educators?
So that's a good question, Sonia. If people that know me, my motto is, it takes a village to raise children. And I know back in the day when you and I were coming up, the preacher could get you, the
neighbor,
teacher down, the neighbor, the auntie, the uncle, and everybody. It's not as prevalent or like that no more, where people are very, protective of, wanting people to say things to their children. I tell people all the time that know me about my kids. If y'all see my child somewhere, I need you to correct him. I'll handle you later. Right. So those kinds of things. But to answer the question, I know that it starts at home. It starts at home. We've gotten away from, of course, we don't have church and state in schools, there's separation of that. But it starts at home. Right. The back to the yes ma'ams and the no ma'ams and the pleases and the thank yous and the yes sir and the no sir, just basic homegrown type. I think that will help a lot. With kids, because now if they can go buy them off the street, they can buy them with anybody, and anybody that's selling something to a minor or to a child like that, shame on them. Or leaving those type, or even leaving weapons and things around to harm somebody is even just truly so. I think, like I said, I know that it should start at home. In schools, we can't raise the children because even though they're with us no more than they with their parents. But, it takes a village. It takes everybody. It takes, people. So when somebody's trying to, and I tell people all the time when I'm talking to parents, nobody's going to hurt your child. We here to help. We got kids, you're going to have your one or two, that may not be on board. But, the majority, 99% of people that's working with kids, and even if they work with me, they already know. When a child basically saying something, it's got to have some sort of validity to it. You have to kind of just like investigate the situation or whatever. But to answer the question, like I said, it starts at home. You got the crime, you should know where your child is.
You should know where your child is.
Everybody should know where their child is, even my children. My 18-year-old, my 16-year-old, I track them everywhere they go. If I see them making a wrong turn on this phone right here, and I see it on Light 360, I need to know where you are, why you stopped you, those kinds of things that we just letting children just tell us, I hear children talk to their parents sometimes, that's not appropriate. and I'm like, okay, is that they're doing it in front
And
of
that's
me?
crazy to me.
Yeah, if they doing it in front of me or they doing it in front of somebody else, they do it to other people,
Right.
so or at home. So I think that those are some of the reasons, back to like I said, church and state, we're taking the church out, starting at home, taking a village to raise the kids, being able to say something to correct children when
right.
they're wrong, having a curfew, just those things. So those 5 things I definitely would say would be a big help, with that. And I think that will help in schools too as well.
And like you said, it starts at home, and the home is the foundation of a child. The first 7 years is the most critical for a child's upbringing. And what's amazing to me, I know corporal punishment is not a part of being in schools anymore, but I was a month away from graduating from high school at Provine. And my teacher, she didn't like me because my sister child, long story. But anyway, I left my purse in the library. And I had started working at Wendy's. I had just got my check, and I was like, Miss Stewart, I need to go get my purse. She said, well, if you miss this, if that bell rings, I'm sending you to the principal's office. And I was like, fine, whatever. I'm going to get my purse. It was $75. That was like $500 to me at that point. So I go get my purse. I missed the bell, and I'm getting a paddle outside of the room a month. I was 17, but guess who didn't open their mouth? I wasn't disrespectful. I understood and respected authority. And a lot of kids, because the parents, you telling them what your child is doing, what Travarius is doing, but they, not my child, they don't want to hear it, and they think you picking on them. They're getting offensive instead of listening and trying to see what the issue is, so y'all can come together to come to an agreement to try to help the child. I totally agree. So how do you think we get back? Well, you kind of already explained how we get back to the community. The parents, get in a village, making sure everybody is involved. And how do you get the parents on the same page though? That's the tricky part.
Well, for one, people got to trust you.
Okay.
People know when people are phony, people know when people don't have their best interests, things of nature. But people, my main thing is I try to, when I'm talking to parents, I try to make sure that I, use the mom hat sometimes, or use, putting myself in your shoes as the parent, because I am a parent. Or so just kind of getting into, kind of not being up here, but meeting people where they are. It's a new age. So people want to be respected across the board. So that's my biggest thing with parent buy-in. How I feel like I have parent buy-in, because I have the best interest for your child. Mama, understand, I get it. I have a child, I have children, I have boys. What we got to do what's best for the child. What is best for the Dionne? What is best for her? What can we do? So let's set some goals on how we can do from this point to the next point. Let's do a 2-week window and see what she does, those kinds of things. And, rewarding the children. That's people always say you should reward somebody to act right. But this day and age, you got to do those type things.
You have to.
Because you can't, it's only thing that you can do now is pretty much verbally, and set some goals. So that's those are things that I had to try to do with parents. But you got to make sure that they can trust you. People can feed off, when you being sincere and when you're being concerned at hand about their child. So
that's good. That's good. So is your parent teacher conference, do you have a good amount of parents coming, and because of the trust they feel they have with you and your principals?
Yeah, we do. We definitely do. So I can say that, because people want to know about their children. They want that. People, I tell people all the time, every dog loves its puppy, every cow loves its calf, every duck loves its duckling. So people gonna come back and every parent love their child, no matter what they did. how they did it, who they love their children. So yeah, they come, and the ones that don't, we try to meet them where they are. And the good thing is, COVID really helped out a lot. When parents can't make
Oh
it,
yeah. Mhm.
we do a Zoom. People can do that on their phones now. So that's a good thing. So it's
That's a good thing.
that, people say, COVID, but that's one of the things I saw that's a positive, because I ain't know nothing about no Zoom. We had to do school virtual, so those things. So yeah, so now it's easier. Parents have to work. We understand that.
Yeah.
We try to meet people where they are.
I love it. That's good, Dionne. So Dionne, what is next for you as far as your career in education, and what can the village do to help you and other educators get to your goals? What can we do to help?
So I am good where I am. Working, as the assistant superintendent here in Jackson Public Schools. I enjoy my job. I love my job. I love what I do each and every day. I have no regrets on what I do.
That's a blessing.
Good group of people. I have the best superintendent ever. And the people that I work around and work with are great people. I couldn't ask for a better group of people to work with. We strategize if there's a problem, we strategize and things of that nature. So I right now I am, I have my two boys. They're, one is going to college and the other one is being in high school. So I got to get that other one out of high school in about another 2 years. So in about 2 more years, you ask me that, Sonya, then
Speaking of your oldest boy, he'll be going playing baseball. I don't know if you want me to say the name of the school.
That's fine. Grambling State University.
Grambling State University. How do you feel about that? He's about to leave the nest. How you feeling? Because them your babies.
Them, you already know it. Everybody know those are my sunshines. I feel great. It's only 2 hours up the road, up 20. So I can do that day trip, jump in the car, and just, I can tell them to meet me in Monroe, meet me in Vicksburg, So, it's gonna be an empty nest because I'm used to, they with me all the time, the bond that we have is I can't explain it, but he gotta grow. So, he'll be fine. I cry for a little while.
I know.
But I'll be fine. I still had the other one there, but it's gonna be like, okay, I'm used to looking for JR, then I'm looking for JR. Like, okay, where's JR? But I can follow him on like 360.
That's right. 360. I got it too for my family.
And so we have a good relationship. So they know that, most people think I'm their sister, so I was like, okay, well, they know I've been 18 before. I tell them I've been 18 before, I've been 16 before. So I know if 18 and 16-year-olds do. So
that's right. And they're some great kids. They're really,
thank you. But you asked me about what can I do with the community. Community can help do. Just, continue to support, support schools, support principals, support students, even people don't have children in school, to still just continue, because this is our future. This is going to be your next doctor. This is going to be your next surgeon. The people that we have here are going to be your next bankers or your next CAOs, CEOs, next superintendents, your next teachers, your next coaches, next talk show, next she say sports, so that's just it's people saw in us. This is our future. So we have to make sure that we taking back our future and not just letting them go by the wayside. So that the thing, like I said, was just to wrap our arms around every child, even when I see people out or kids out, I always go to, how you doing? What school you go to? So, and just kind of try to build that relationship and support when you come off, and then I say, now, why you need to pull your pants up now, boy, come on here now. But I've already broken the ice with him and said, I think I know you, and I don't been known them from a can of paint. I'll be like, I know you. I'm like, I know you from somewhere. I remember you somewhere. And they'll say, I don't know. I said, what school you go to? And I said, but then I kind of think of somebody that, that may work at that school or work, someone. So that kind of cracks the ice of, kind of building a relationship with people. But just kind of like I said, just support. When we, if you don't have a child, come out to, the different family nights that we have. Now we have family nights in school, parent don't understand something. Like I said, we have Zoom where parents can call in to have the teacher explain to them, because like I said, the rigor of the work is way much more rigorous and
Then
accelerate
we were
what we had.
Yeah.
Oh, just that, just helping a child out and just being that mother or father figure. Nobody can take the place of a mother or father, but just being a
Right.
support to the school and not talking down on schools. That's the biggest thing that I have. Not talking down on the school or where school is located. Uplift and bring up the
I
child,
agree.
bring up the school.
'Cause I agree totally.
Yep.
That is awesome. Dionne, thank you so much for joining. But before
Welcome.
I let you go, I have a game that I play that's called You Can Get With This or You Can Get With That. And what that is, it's a way, we hip hop babies. What that is, it's a way for the listeners and myself to get to know the guests better. I'll ask you a few questions and you choose the one that best fits you. No answer is wrong.
Okay.
And this is the teacher's edition. Would you rather let the students take over the school for 1 week every year or let the parents sit in and observe your teaching for 1 week every year?
Let the parents sit in and observe 1 week every year.
Okay. Why?
Why?
Because running the school.
First of all, children can't run the school. That's first of all. Second of all, it'll give parents an idea of what, how a day runs, how children behave, what children are learning, what standard students should know based on their grade level, what's the course of a day. So you can see what teachers actually deal with each and every day. So, because most people think it's just like, they go to school from 7:30, 3:30, they doing this, they're going to recess. No. We're teaching school.
Right.
And that school wasn't like when you all were in school. We need your help and we need your support. So people can see and they can say, okay, you know what? I went and sat in that school for a week and I sat in there 2 hours a day within a week. 2 hours a day in a week for each day in that week. And they can see. They can be able to go back and say, I observed, I know, because I saw that for myself. I saw when that teacher was trying to make sure that child understood. I saw when that teacher, that a child may have come in, didn't have a pencil, and the teacher just quietly went and got it. One say, here you go, sweetheart. Let's go ahead and get to work. Those kinds of things. So, yep, in the school, parents in the school.
I love it. Jack Hartman or Go Noodle? Which would you prefer teaching? Having for your class?
Go Noodle.
Go Noodle. Okay. Why?
I just like Go Noodle.
Okay.
No.
Like it better.
Yeah, I just like Go Noodle.
Okay. Would you prefer having an assistant who grades or an assistant who organizes?
When you say an assistant, are you saying assistant teacher?
Like an assistant teacher. Because this is mainly teachers, yeah.
So I would not want to have either one. I want to have
really.
Yes, I want to have an assistant teacher that's actually assisting me in helping students instruction. Not just the students that may need a little more help, but the students that may be accelerated students that need more challenging work. Working in a small group, working, to make sure students have mastered a standard or skill, showing students, different ways of 1 or 2 students. But I want them working with students. I don't want them to organize. We have planning time. We have planning time in the morning. We have planning time in the day. We have planning time after school. So they have time to plan and have time to organize. So I don't need you for that. I need you to be working with children with instruction.
I love it. This is funny. Teach class where every child is chewing gum or teach class with every child phone going off during lesson?
I prefer neither one.
I cannot stand
I can't. That gum smacking. That irked me. That really bothered me. And the phone's going off. I don't have a problem with children bringing theirs because it's a new day and age. I don't have a problem with because that's the way parents get in contact with their kids, and so I don't have a problem with them bringing them to school. But I need to make sure they're maybe collected, and that's what we do too in the elementary schools. We collect them. The teachers just collect them, put them in a basket. They can still see them. We don't go through no child's phone or anything like that.
Right.
And just
if it goes off, you see mom.
Yeah. So it may be a change. Parents communicate with their kids like that. And I had to learn that. When I was in the school. Okay, parent came and she's like, Miss Woody, my baby said that he said we can't have phones at school. And then when she actually told me, and I'm saying to myself, I said, let my child take this phone to school. What am I trying? Dionne, hey, this is the way just parents communicate with their child because The child go home by himself, and the parent will be at work. So you know how you say call me when you get in the house? Well, the parent have a landline, so the parent only, this has been years ago, parent only had a cell phone. So, but at the time, I had a landline and a cell phone in my house, which I don't have, So that's, you just, like I said, that goes back to that equity of meeting people where they are, providing what they need. So I don't want either one. I want the phone and it going off, and I don't want them chewing no gum.
You know what? I didn't even think about that. They're still latchkey kids. That's wow. I didn't even. Yeah. So you don't want either one. I agree.
Well, ma'am.
Would you rather give up coffee at work or give up alcohol at home when you get off of work?
So I will give up coffee.
You'll give up coffee.
I give up coffee.
Okay. Have a parent live in your shoes for a week, or have a politician live in your shoes for a week?
Both.
Why? I mean, why both?
So parents can see, we do have shadow days for students, but I wouldn't, mind a parent having shadow days for me, so you can actually see the work that I do, because I'm not just sitting behind this desk every day. I'm out in schools. My day starts out in a school every single day, making sure instruction is going on. So I would want them to see that it's not a desk job. So when parents call me and they can't get me, or somebody's calling me and they can't get me, I want them to know that my job is just not sitting behind a desk, pushing paper, because that's not what I do. My job is out in the field, out in schools, working, and anybody can tell you that you're gonna see me in a school. What was the next part of the question?
Or a politician living in your shoes.
Politicians, yes, I do want them to know, because politicians think they know, and I want them to be able to know why we need more funding in education. Legislators, senators, mayors, city government, county government, state government, national government, so they can see some of the things that, we need to put more money in schools, and not only in schools, but for our teachers, for our teachers, our educators that are work hard each and every day. So I want all of them to see, I love it.
Would you prefer tying up wet shoelaces or wiping a runny nose?
So either one. I wipe runny noses, as an educator, that's what we do. And when we working in as an elementary, pre-K, I get them young as 3 years old, 4 years or 3 and 4 year olds. So, you got to be mama. You can't just let the baby just, I got to be mama. So I'll do both. I'll do both. I've done both. So wet shoelaces, when child shoes are wet, coming into the building off the bus in the rain and the shoes untied, because at 3 and 4 year olds they can't tie their shoes.
They can't.
So but the majority of them can't. So I tied wet shoelaces, I have clean noses, things of that nature. So that doesn't bother me.
That don't bother you. That's mom, like you said, you mama. That's on your hat. Field trip day or assembly day?
Both. I like field trips, and I even go on field trips in this role too as well, when I know that I actually come from the field trip, where I had some students to go to the airport to sing at the Black History program at the airport. And so I met them there, one of my schools there. I've gone to Thermal Hall to a event there with them, like I said, in this role. So when my schedule is kind of free, and I know that I have a mass number of students going to certain field trips, I do try to make sure I put it on my calendar, because I want them to see that it's not that me sitting behind a desk, or me sitting with a suit on, or me sitting, that I'm a part of it. I want them to know,
absolutely.
I work with you. I'm here with you. I'm here to support you. So field trips I love. And the other thing, what was this other? Assembly programs. The assembly programs. We do have assembly programs, so I like those too. So I mean, I'm versatile on all that.
I love it. Lunch duty or playground duty?
Both. That's part
so everything is both.
That's part of the territory.
You're right.
You don't forget about bus duty too. You got bus duty.
Bus duty. That's true.
You got everything. You got every duty there is. Yep. I like all that.
I love it. Last but not least, teach a badly behaved class of 10 or teach a normal class of 40?
Both of them.
Because the class of 10, they still need attention and love too.
That's right. The class of 10 out, that's the ones I know I can make a difference with.
I love it.
I know that for a fact. I know I can make a difference with. I can, meet them where they are, provide for them, whatever they need in order to be successful. Mm-hmm. And most times, when it's like that, it's because they need nurturing and they need love. They need somebody to say, "Boy, you can do this. Girl, you can do this. Come on, don't act like that. Come on, you can do it. Can you be good for me? Can you please be good for me? Can you just? I got you. I know you can." How you feel if you can able to get, rewards means a lot to children, especially younger kids.
Yeah.
My specialty is in expertise is more so in the younger kids. So you can get them to buy into you. And as far as a regular setting class, that too as well. So I'm good with both. Any type. I've dealt with all of them. So
I love it. I'm so glad that they have you. I'm so glad that you're a leader. You're not, like you said, just pushing paper, but you're an actual leader and you're teaching your principals and your teachers to, just be little Dionnes and just keep the domino effect going. I really appreciate what you're doing for the students. I really, really do. Thank you so much for joining the show today.
You're welcome, and thank you for inviting me, Sonia. I really have enjoyed a conversation with you, and I look forward to having many more with She Say Sports.
Thank you. And guys, you can follow me at She Say Sports on Facebook, She Say Sports 23 on Instagram, at She Say 23 on Twitter, and please subscribe to our YouTube page, She Say Sports. Well, until next time, this is Sonia with She Say Sports.